She's a chef, Food Network star, cookbook author, and all-around foodie. Her meals aren't only delicious, they're used as the glue to connect faith, family, and culture. And while cooking can sometimes be hectic, her new cookbook, Unwind, helps the hangry find a little more calmness in the kitchen. Here to talk all about it, please welcome Aarti Sequeira.
CEO of Hangry.
I love that.
Aarti, let's get to it. Your new cookbook, Unwind, by the way, it's quite heavy.
Isn't it a beautiful book?
It's great. It incorporates your passion for food as well as faith. So how has your faith given you a new special view on mealtime?
Well, I think that I realized that, I was walking in after a really full day of everything that I do, and I'm sure it's the same for all of you, and you get to that moment where you have to make dinner, and it feels like salt in the wound. It feels like an insult. And even as someone who does it for a living, I was like, how in the world am I now going to make dinner when all I want to do is have a cocktail and go to bed? And so for me, I realized that meal prepping was helpful, meal planning is helpful, but what really needed to change was my heart. And so for me, walking into this space, into this kitchen and going, hey, this can be holy ground when I invite God into it, changed everything, because now I realize that I can bring all my fatigue, my anxiety, my fear, everything into the kitchen with me. And that's when God can meet me and kind of walk with me through that process. And so this time, which feels like it's all about everybody else, actually became a time between me and God. And once I figured out that my heavenward connection was solid, then I could pour out into my family.
I think when God's, I know, isn't that beautiful? When God's watching me cook.
Erica just had a moment.
I know. I think when God's watching me cook,
spiritual.
Or he or she, whatever,
real.
they're laughing along with me as I make mistakes, and it's very, very comforting. I agree with you. Let me ask you about family dinners. Do you think
Jewish?
Yeah, I believe in God, and my God is laughing with me as I burn every piece of food I hand my husband. Do you think? You know what? Do you think people today have become too far removed from family dinners, which was a big thing growing up for me?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even when I was growing up, we didn't do family dinner near as much as I wish we had. My husband did it every single night. And I just feel in this day and age, I think our kids have it harder than we did growing up. There's just too many distractions, too many things pulling them away from the family table. And it's such a simple, easy way to sort of fight against it, right?
Yeah.
We take time to go through pows and wows at the dinner table, to talk through the highlights and the lowlights, to just spend some time laughing with each other and connecting with each other. And it's this tiny little thing, but over time, it sews these hearts together, because there's something really magical about breaking bread with somebody, even if you do it one time. But if you do it night after night after night, it connects your hearts in such a way, it aligns your breathing, it aligns your thoughts, it aligns how you think about the world. And I just think it's one of the most powerful things we can do as families.
Amen.
Yes, child. Breaking bread is my love language. And this book is so well done. There's so much power in this book. You can feel it. Now, cooking several times a week for many people can feel like a daunting chore. For me, I get super excited that I'm like, oh, I'm cooking.
Right.
How can we find enjoyment in what can
the last to
seem
know.
Is this a spatula?
like a time-consuming task?
Well, you could do a couple of things. One thing that I do is I take the pressure off. I will cook a big old meal twice a week, tops. And the rest of the week is tuna, granola, smoothies, anything that just gets us through the night. Because I want to be relaxed as well, right? And I want to enjoy the whole process. And this whole idea came about because I met this auntie. She's not a blood relative, but in Indian culture, she's my auntie. And she said that she always prayed before she cooked because it sort of cleared her out, so that she was this pure conduit for God to do whatever he wanted to do with her family, or whoever she was serving that night. And so for me, it can be, lighting a candle, only cooking a couple times a week, marking that transition time by making yourself something nice to drink, just make it a moment of, okay, I'm doing something that has bigger ramifications than I can see, because how I show up in the kitchen is how I'm going to show up in the rest of my life, whether it's doing laundry, having a hard conversation with my kids, taking a big meeting, shooting a new Food Network show, if I get into that practice of allowing God to enter into every one of those things, then I'm going to be a greater conduit for his love and his purposes.
Beautiful.
Stunning.
Aarti, thank you so much for joining us today. DBL Nation, pick up a copy of Aarti's new book, Unwind. Thank you again. Congratulations. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.